Welcome to the Dreamers Hub podcast. This podcast is about collaboration between the dreamers and the doers to inspire more people to do more of the things that they enjoy doing. This hub is focused on providing you the kick in the ass you need to jumpstart your dreams. So if you're into that kind of thing, consider subscribing. Yo, welcome back everybody. This is Nettie, your host of the Dreamers Hub podcast, and I know it has been a hot minute. I have not talked to you in a very, very long time. I was just looking at my stats. The last time I posted was March 18th of 2020. And that episode was called COVID-19. As you all may know, COVID's still here. It hasn't gone anywhere. And I would say that the reason for the absence is, I guess, the same as everybody. Everybody's kind of absent. Everybody's a little bit lost. And today's July 1st, so I felt like it's the first of the month. It's a good time to jump back on something to keep my mind sane, because there's a lot going on. And sure, we can talk about some of the subjects that are happening, or just, I guess, my perspective on things. But for sure, I just want you to know that I think everybody's kind of in the same boat as far as not really knowing what to do. I think as a content creator, it's really hard to make content that matters, but also that relieves some of the tense emotions that I think everybody's feeling with, the civil unrest that's happening, and just all the stories that are now coming to light about police brutality. And honestly, it took me a hot minute. Even now, I would say do I want to post this? But again, it's a first, and it's something that I enjoy doing. It's just, I want to make sure that I put something positive behind it. And I want to make sure that, for the most part, gathered my thoughts, because I think for the last few months, I've kind of been all over the place. It's been an emotional roller coaster, to say the least. I think as you see more of the news headlines, and that's another thing, is I don't think I've ever watched as much news or read as many articles as I have up until now. And it's been very eye-opening. It's been very, inspiring too, to see some of the activists that have been doing this line of work and have been putting information out there. So if you don't know what's going on in the world, or you've been living under a rock, we're in a world of nothing but information, and some of that can be classified as fake news. Some of that can be really educational. So I have learned a lot in these last couple months. That's what I've been spending my time doing. I've also found other areas of just interest that I never knew I really had, because I've been spending so much time reading and educating myself, and also listening and watching some of the news. It's a lot of screen time, and it can get very, very overwhelming. It can get it's just very uneasy to go through that. So I took upon cooking to just get my mind off of that, which I've never, if you know me personally, I've never, ever cared to cook. But that, in an odd way, has allowed me to really focus on something and actually provide a little bonding time for me and my family. So it's been really cool. I joined a cooking class group. Shout out Tara for getting me involved in that. But yeah, I've been trying to keep busy in positive ways, because there's also negative ways. Like when I first started, or this whole thing first started at the beginning of the year, I went a little negative route. I was drinking a lot. I wasn't working out. And it's just, drinking is fun, don't get me wrong, but it's just not something that you have to do or can do, at least not for me, do it all the time. It's just too much. So I'm trying to put my mind in positive places, and I think I've finally reached the point, hence today, that you're listening to this. I've finally reached the point where I'm actually able to have just a casual, normal conversation and feel like I know where my brain is at, and feel like I know where my emotions are at. So, and I just want to extend positive energy and good energy towards you. If you're listening to this, thank you. I appreciate it. But I definitely do want to, normalize the fact that we're all going through something. We're all feeling just this weird, uneasy feeling on a day-to-day basis. Even when it comes to posting just anything, if it's not about what's happening out in the world, I almost don't feel right posting it. But at the same time, I'm one of those people that if I'm watching other people working out, or if I'm watching other people post whatever they're doing, it distracts me away from just, everything right now. And not to say that it's not important, because it absolutely 100% is. It's just that it can be very overwhelming, and I tend to be one of those people that feels a lot. I'm very in tune with my emotions, like I've mentioned before. So it's been a positive for me to be able to disconnect for a little bit and maybe focus on something else, maybe learn something brand new. Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss an episode by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now, back to the show. I've really enjoyed watching friends at our family. I've really enjoyed watching just like everybody's progress on social media. Like for me, I've gradually seen and noticed people taking on new things, people trying new things, people being more active, whether that's being active in the Black Lives Matter movement, whether that's educating people by posting educational content, whether that's starting a YouTube channel, whether that's going through like a creative outlet of some sort. I've really, really been enjoying that. And I encourage you, if you're one of those people, to continue posting what you're doing, because you never know who you can be inspiring at the time. I really get inspired by watching other people do new things or trying new things. And that's kind of one of the things that I like to do. Is I really love and enjoy just putting myself to something that I've never done, hence cooking, or learning how to do this podcast. So there's a lot of things that you can, adapt if you really open your mind to it. I know it can be really easy to just kind of fall in a slump and just kind of wallow in it, which I know I tend to do that, and that's kind of what I've been doing. But I will say that I've had some uplifting moments. I just recently had a conversation with an old friend of mine. Shout out Favi if you're listening to this. And she just briefly mentioned about how, she was listening to the podcast, the previous episodes, during a toxic work environment, and how that helped her get through some of her days. And that to me was enough for me to do this episode, which is crazy because, again, it was just a conversation in passing. It maybe took her, less than 2 minutes to send out. But I don't know what that did, but that something clicked for me in the moment that she said that, because I kind of got a little flashback about the late nights that I had learning and editing and posting as I was doing the podcast when I first started. And so it kind of just made me think like, wow, you didn't do it for nothing. You did something, you did something that inspired somebody. And again, this is the goal of the podcast, is to be able to inspire somebody to do just one thing, whether that's put them in a positive mindset or whether that's just change their mood for the day. That to me is enough to stay up at night. That to me is enough to do new things and to try new things, to make the quality of the content better and better. And I've gradually adapted and learned, and I've gradually kind of improved different aspects of this whole podcast setup, my editing on YouTube. So there's little things that I've taken on that, maybe to most people it doesn't really matter, but I personally really enjoy those things. And I don't think that if Favi wouldn't have mentioned what the podcast did for her a couple days ago, that I would be recording this episode today. So thank you, Favi. I really appreciate it. Also, she's the one that helped me update, do a little facelift for the podcast. And that in itself, the new facelift that the, logo got, really just ignited this creative fire I have. I know I have it. It's just because of everything, I just haven't been able to, just really jump on the train of creating, because again, as a content creator in this time period, it's hard to post something with meaning, or make sure that you post something with meaning, because I also just don't want to post just to post. I want to make sure that I'm spreading something that can inspire somebody. And not for nothing, doing a podcast by yourself is kind of hard. It's not that easy to talk to yourself, and hopefully it resonates with people. I mean, that's what I do anyway, but it's kind of hard to come up with the idea and have a conversation here alone. And so I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If somebody inspires you, if somebody triggers something in you, it's always, I'll always recommend letting that person know, because you never know what you can trigger that person to do, what you can inspire that person to do just by saying a couple sentences to them. And that's vice versa. I've said it a few episodes ago, but it really does. It works for me and it works for that person. So it's like a win-win situation. So if you have friends that inspire you, if you have friends that are trying new things and posting online, let them know, like, hey, keep it up. Do what you're doing. Hey, you've inspired me in these ways. You really never know at what point something can trigger somebody to create something new, to do something new, to try something new, or simply just to start. And so with that, I just want to say, if you're still stuck in a slump, don't worry. At some point, you'll get out of it. You never know who might just message you. You never know what you'll see that might trigger you. Also, don't force it. Don't force yourself to do things that you don't want to do. I think it's okay to feel through the emotions, the feelings that are going to come about or that have come about. And I just want to say that you're not alone. Everybody's kind of going through something, and we're all going through this pandemic and the ups and downs of just everything right now. But I think it's important, and it doesn't go without saying that what is happening right now, especially with the BLM movement, it's uncomfortable. It had to happen. It has to happen. Change does not come from comfort. So that's it for me, guys. Just short, simple, and sweet. Straight to the point. I hope to inspire and maybe trigger something inside you to get started or to start up again if you had stopped due to COVID-19. I do appreciate your guys' time. I love y'all. Thank you guys for listening. Peace. Now hold up. Before we part ways, I want to thank you for listening in. I'd appreciate you helping me inspire others like yourself by simply sharing this podcast with a friend. While you're at it, if you found value in this podcast, I'd love for you to rate it on Apple Podcasts. Be sure to tune in for more inspirational content next week.